We'll be getting started in a few minutes. Just gonna let people show up, trickle into the stream here, and I'm gonna go announce that the stream is starting. As that always helps to bring in some people to interact with. Hey, welcome. Let me just do a couple adjustments here. Oops. I was not always super in camera last time. I attempted to adjust it. I'm not moving my monitor around, so it's messed up again. But I think that's pretty good. To answer the question from the chat is, have you done anything since the last stream, or are you resuming from where you left off? I am resuming from where I left off. The only thing that has happened is I've run it once. I turned Arrow on this machine before today's stream, and I ran the program once to see what it looks like. And so I already know a little bit about what we need to do today, but I'm just going to get everyone caught up on that before I start anyway, so really there won't be any missed information about what's going on with it. I think after today, the only thing that'll be left for me to do is to test this on Windows 10. And if I like how it looks there, after 5 minutes of playing with it, I will probably publish the code to GitHub and be done with this project. As the only goal here was to make a very lean startup example. And I think I will have mostly achieved that by the end of the day. We'll see. Depends on how today goes and how the Windows 10 test off screen goes. The other thing is I might not want to public. It might deserve another like tick of work to like work out a better way to handle events in the non-client area. Except that how you do that really depends on how you're handling events inside the client area. Like I basically have to show an example of how to make them work the same way, because that's what I think I would want, and that would entail prescribing a particular mouse event type. So I could go for a really simple mouse event type and obviously say like, you just replace this with your mouse event type, but I'm not sure. The other thing is I'm not actually sure that that's possible. We have to look at that part of it. It kind of seems like you need to know the layout of your non-client area in order to respond to some of the NC hit test stuff and the, I don't know, maybe you don't need that because maybe you're always, I don't know. We'll take a look at what's possible there. Yeah, I guess the problem is if you have a widget like floating up here, like a slider or something that you want to be able to grab and slide around, if you don't know that that's there, you'll grab the caption instead and move the whole window. Also, I want to figure out why when I move it, it doesn't repaint what's behind it correctly. That seems really weird, right? I noticed this happens on a lot of different windows that I can put it over. So yeah, we have a couple things to mess with today. Alright, been alive for a few minutes. Let me just check. Yeah, I think we'll probably get started with the stream, as any more waiting will just make this extra long startup time that we don't need. Okay, so things for today. One, I wish I could figure out why the whoops, I just caused all my windows to disappear. Did not mean for that to happen. I wish I could figure out why the border or the stuff behind my window doesn't update at the right rate. Now that I originally thought was a 4-coder problem because, I mean, it's 4-coder's job to do that repaint, right? And if 4-coder just doesn't repaint, then maybe that explains it. But then I started thinking like, there's more to it than that, because I can show the same issue if I pull like Visual Studio up. Now of course Visual Studio maybe is the problem there. Like Visual Studio is also not great at repainting all the time. Let's pull up Chrome. Yeah, even Chrome doesn't always repaint. In fact, it seems to be doing much worse. The things that it is repainting are that little logo there and like nothing else. Huh. I don't know exactly what to make of that. It's definitely annoying. And I had the same problem even without the compositor on. So I think that that's something I should be able to fix for everything if I can fix it at all. The question is just how would I do that? Not even sure exactly what to begin searching for, but that is definitely the thing to start on. So Win32 window behind my window doesn't repaint. Alright, let's try some of these ideas. So this is suggesting that the problem might be that I'm not handling paint, which, I don't know, that kind of sounds like stuff that might happen. It still came back with has compositor no, which I find strange. I thought Arrow theme had the compositor. Maybe that's an additional step that I would need to turn that on. Let me check that too. Windows 7 Compositor. Okay, none of this looks like it's going to be helpful, so who even knows what I'm clicking on? Yeah. Again, totally random. Here we go. This actually looks real. Alright, I'll keep that in mind for a little later. Let's try this WM Paint suggestion I was looking at. So rock yeah. Not exactly sure why this would matter, because I thought this had more to do with my window, and so shouldn't the other windows not be affected by me? I mean, that's how you'd think you'd build something like this, but who knows? Yeah, that didn't change anything. Same deal. Crap, I did it again. Okay. I didn't do an audio test. I hope that my audio is good. If it's not, someone on the stream let me know. So one thing I want to be sure of is that this isn't causing the issue. Yeah, okay. So the desktop doesn't suffer from this problem, but also Windows on other monitors? No, it is suffering from that too. Okay. And double check. This does not. Yeah, that's because I'm not repainting. But what is happening here? Yeah, so this window's not having anywhere near the same effect over there. Forecutter also doesn't repaint until I stop dragging it, I suppose. So I should also check just like this. Okay, so yeah, that's not causing any issues. Let me try. I already did try this just to be sure, right? Oh, so that actually does it too on forecutter. So that forecutter example might just be forecutter's fault ultimately for not updating the window the right way. It doesn't use WM Paint for that. But let's try Visual Studio, and what is this? The desktop gets its own spot in the tab. So that's the way Arrow always worked. Neither were reasons I didn't like it, but I don't know if that was one of them. Yeah, so actually that's doing the same thing. So the things that are really bad for any window. And it's more about the destination than the one it's on it. But the one case where it definitely is, I did it again, man, stupid window shake. Okay. The one where it definitely only happens with this window, when other windows on top don't cause the same problem, is if I put it over Chrome. Something goes wrong there, and I did a Windows shake again. I'm gonna need a new way of moving this around to test for that. But yeah, that's just what happened on every window over forecutter. So I don't know. There might not be much I can do about that because it seems like it's at least as much to do with the background window as it is to do with me. I wish I could think of anything else that relates to that. I do want to try the second suggestion. Well, this is strictly false. All right, so what I'll do is say, let's just clean that thing up at least, right? Is that a... No, it's not. Okay. It's not a global. Paint. Where's the H one? getting a DC? Yeah, we're getting one and releasing it ourselves. Okay. Let's just try that. It's not going to change that. Oh, hey. That kind of cleaned up the issue. Really? No. No, it did. It cleaned up the issue. That's wacky. Give me a minute. I want to try and look at this. So, I should do this where you can see me doing it so I can be sure that I'm not the only one understanding what's going on. So I'm going to take that back out. We had this earlier. I'm going to use this as my test. Actually, I'll just use this as my test because it has a nice little animating feature and make it clear. And I'll run. Now, I don't know if you can actually, what you can see and what you can't see over the stream. But if I move this around, okay, maybe that was all it took to fix it and I didn't test it properly. So this is mostly good. There's still little spots where you can see like lag where the window used to be like flashing. But I don't know that there's anything I can do about that, as that appears to just be the compositor not catching up. And that might even be like happening because I'm streaming or something, I don't know. And I wiggled my window too much. Okay, but if I were to take out this, would that cause the issue again? Whoops, I didn't do what I meant to do. I want that. And I want that. This here. Yeah, so now I get these big areas of gray. And I guess this is because I'm not sending the events back to the operating system to let it know what I have painted, and so it doesn't figure out that it needs to let the Chrome window repaint until later, or Chrome decides to repaint on its own or something. So this was the fix that I needed. Just to keep the windows behind me updating in the right areas and stuff. Alright, so that's one thing down. The other thing I noticed is I have rounded corners, and I didn't choose that. That's just the shape of the Windows 7 window that is being applied to this window. So what I think I need to do is maybe, I have a theory that what I need to do is set the window region, something like that. Set window region, it's like something like that. Set window RGN region. And how does this work? So I'm going to give it, specifies whether the system redraws the window after setting the window region. If it's true, the system does so, otherwise it does not. Okay. I'm going to say let's set this right away. So I create my window, I check if it worked. Before I show it, can I set the region? And so here's the handle. We don't need a redraw because there hasn't even been an initial draw yet, so nothing is on the screen that needs to get, that will be wrong. How do I get one of these region things? So null, the function sets the window region to null. Okay, that's a handle to a region. The function sets the window region of the window to this region. So this is a handle to a region, and the function sets the window region of the window to this region. And that is as helpful as this is going to be. So I need to figure out how I get one of these regions. Get window region will give me a Windows region. So there's one way to get one of these things. Intersect rect. Are there more like RGN functions? Painting and drawing functions. Window position changing, get window region, painting and drawing functions. Let's try this. Exclude update region, prevents drawing within invalid areas of a window. Okay, let me just see if there are any region functions. Validate region, invalidate, get window region box, get region, So this is just like things I can do on regions, but the question I have, you know what? Here's how I should do this. What's the name of the type? HGRN. Let's search for that. Can you give me a list of functions relating to this type? Get window region, create rect region. This looks good. Specifies the x coordinate of the upper left corner of the region in logical. So the issue I'm going to have here is, do I have to constantly do this? Is this even going to fix the problem? I don't know the answer to either of those questions. I'm not even sure why I get a rounded rectangle in the first place, to be honest, because I'm painting there. So it means that like the default window that I got handed has already set up a clipping shape of some kind on the non-client area. And I don't necessarily know why that happens. I don't know how I would undo that. I can tell you that it definitely is possible. Here's my Visual Studio having a completely unrounded rectangle for its window. And here's Chrome having a rounded rectangle, right? So they have a custom border, but they kept the roundness, or they changed the roundness to their own roundness or something. Visual Studio just does, you know, completely pointy. If I pull in, let me pull in this, you can see that this shape here has got corners on the bottom that are pointy and corners on the top that are rounded. That's the shape of the window I'm getting when I try to paint for myself, right? So it's as if like the alpha transparency of those pixels is already set and I'm trying to unset that or something, right? So my theory is maybe if I create a rectangle region and set it, but by create methods such as only include the interior of the shape. This means that any point on a line between two sequential vertices is not included in the region. If you were to call a point in a region for such a point, it would return 0. Okay. But the problem I'm going to have with that is this function is called system sends window position changing message to the window. The coordinates of the window's window region are relative to the upper left corner of the window, not the client area of the window. So that includes the non-client area, which is what we're doing. After a successful call to set window region, the system owns the region specified by the region handle. The system does not make a copy of the region, thus you should not make any further function calls with this region handle. In particular, do not delete this region handle. The system deletes the region handle when it is no longer needed. But I'm worried that it's not going to move with the window. I guess if it's specified relative to the upper left corner of the window, then it will move with the window, but it won't resize with it. I don't know. We're going to find out. We're going to find out what this does. So let's create a region. I want to get window rect. There we go. I want to get this rectangle here. I want to stick it right here. And then I want to put this here. Okay, so a couple of notes. One, we can clearly see now that something has changed. Two, we can clearly see that what has changed is that the top left corner of my non-client window is gone. And I can't click on it or anything, right? I can still do that, I presume, yeah. So what I've learned is that I think the docs are just wrong. It says right here, upper left corner of the region, yeah. When this function is called, the coordinates of a window's window region are relative to the upper left corner of the window, not the client area of the window. So that means the upper left corner, but not the client area of the window, but I don't know what it's talking about because it is the upper left corner of the client area of the window is how it actually just worked. So that just seems wrong. Not sure what else I could say about it besides that. So let me take advantage of the fact that I know the window coordinates or the dimensions of the non-client area, right? 30. Yeah, didn't do anything. So I don't know that that's going to help in any way. I'm not sure how it ever would, because if it's taking whatever information I put in there and if it's taking that and it's just moving it to it so that the top left is always in line with the client area, then maybe what I need to do is say it's more like this. I'm not sure how the things we've seen so far would make sense if this is the right thing to do, but I think this is maybe a better interpretation of the docs, I suppose. Okay. Yeah, okay, that does make sense. Alright, so you have to place that at 0, 0, and the cool thing is it does move with the window. Now if I resize it, we run into some trouble. So, yeah. Let me start with, let's go up to WM Paint and say, let's do the paint right here, just so that I don't get the crazy artifacts on the interior. So if I'm resizing this, oh, I'm still not getting what went on there. Thought that would work for the resize, but it didn't. One second, let's take a look at that. Come on. WM Paint during resize. Let me just run an experiment here. Yeah, that's what I thought. So what am I missing? That should have been working, right? I'm painting when I get WM Paint. Okay, second edition, show window contents while dragging checkbox. Alright, so that's advice back from 2002, but it maybe didn't help at all. Is this the problem? That still isn't working. Am I getting paint messages with the wrong client rect size? Is the client rect not updated until I'm done or something? Let me try that. So I want to create case WM size. Put a breakpoint right there. And let's see. Okay. Invalidate rect is, we have Martin's in the chat again, and so I'm going to follow this suggestion. Probably save me some time. And these are things I've never actually felt like I understood how to do well before, so. WM sizing. Alright, let me learn the difference between these as well. I don't really want to do verses because I'm going to get like Stack Overflow. Can I just get the docs for each one? WM size, there we go. So into a window that the user is resizing by processing this message, an application can monitor the size of the position of the drag rectangle as needed to change its size or position. Okay, so this lets you know that you're actually changing size. Okay, this happens after the size has changed. So I guess this like finalizes it or something, or anything that changes it, even if it isn't a resize by the user. Can send a size here, and this is the ongoing process. This tells me what side of the window has been grabbed. Okay. Screen coordinates of the drag rectangle to change the size of. Okay, so this lets you read and even modify the new size. Okay. And the invalidate rect function takes a rectangle pointer, be erase. Specifies whether the background within the update region is to be erased when the update region is processed. If this parameter is true, the background is erased when the begin paint function is called. Alright, I'm going to leave that false and let the whole thing, my process, do all the painting. Hwind, sizing here says that lparam is a rect, so also, there's someone in the chat who's asking what editor I'm using. There's information in below my in my channel on Twitch, a little bit of information about it. Okay, so false was the thing I needed, and with that. Let me turn that other thing off for a minute. Okay, so I'm invalidating the rectangle that came in from. Oh, it still says sizing. I need to switch that to size. Wait, it still says size. I need to switch to sizing. There we go. No, that's not it. All right, so yeah, WM Paint should be doing the job. I kind of my now that I have this, I want to, oops, did I just change something? I didn't mean to change, okay. Right, the rect coordinates might be weird. Alright, so I wanted to put a breakpoint in here and take a look at what's going on. Because I'd like to see if I'm getting a bad, like, client rectangle whenever I, 50, 1923, 1108. Ah, I see. So I don't have to provide a rectangle is what you're saying. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. And then right here, 1018. Okay. One zero one 110. Okay, let me just track this for a minute. So this is the top and bottom is 50 and 1108. Here, I'm getting top is 0 and bottom is 1018. So 1108 minus 50 would be 1058. Just take 20 off the, or 10 off the top and 30 off the bottom. Yeah, okay, so that does match my expectations. Oh shoot, I forgot about that debugger pop-up thing. I don't even know how to fix that. I'll try to just put everything in the watch window if I can remember. Okay. So let's try this. We don't care about the region and go. Yeah, I'm not convinced that my paint is actually doing the right thing because I'm still getting this. And I feel like I should at least be getting paint when I'm scaling up either way, even if I'm not invalidating, because it still needs to know how to paint the new sections of the window. Because that's my understanding of how it works. I don't actually like super know these things, but I'm definitely getting a paint message during that loop, and it's definitely not showing up. I guess, yeah, what I want to know is, does the client rectangle ever get big enough? Yeah, so that's another question I had for you, Martins. I have arrow enabled now, and I still get Compositor as not enabled as like the result of my query, which I thought that the whole point of me turning on arrow wasn't to discover the bug with rounded rectangles that I'm messing with. It was to have the Compositor on, and I don't know how to do that. Right. It was on earlier. I wonder if OBS turns it off. I would have to stop streaming to check it, but it was definitely on. It was definitely on because I had that transparency in the border before. Okay, well if that's the case, then I have to do some of these experiments off stream, it seems like. It's a little surprising because you wouldn't be able to turn it off in later versions of Windows, but... Oh, okay. Alright, yeah. So probably with OBS on, my Compositor has been disabled on Windows 7, so I'd have to either stream from a different computer with Windows 10 or just do this off stream, some of it. but I do want to figure out why I can't at least get repaint and those rounded corners fixed, right? So I have these corners here. This is the thing I was focusing on besides the repaint problem when I'm resizing, which is that my corners are rounded, but I don't actually, I want to be in control of that. So the fact that I didn't set them to be rounded means that the Windows 7 window shape is taking over there, and I want to fix that. So I hoped that if I still have to figure out this paint thing, but if I hoped that if I set a specific rectangular region, that would fix it. But it does. Only the issue is now I have to like constantly update that region, or else it doesn't, it doesn't, Okay, so Martin's has an interesting pitch, which is why not get rid of the non-client area completely and just paint inside my client area with my own buttons and whatever, which is a good idea. It's certainly easier than what I'm doing because it just means everything is client area. The only thing I'm worried about is if that means I have to manually build all of the resizing stuff and the like moving stuff. I'd kind of like to not have to go that far, but maybe I can keep those working by answering NC hit test still, right? If I answer the NC hit test stuff from my client region, it'll just still work in theory. So I don't know, we could try that. It's certainly easier than trying to set this window region every time it resizes. Although this kind of does work. But I think this is actually just going to be easier this way because you can get rid of the whole idea of client and frame separation altogether. So yeah, let's try it. So let's see, a couple things we'll have to do. One, we can just say that client size is exactly equal to the yeah. Right. Okay. 2, I'll have to set this as so set window 1 let's see, set window 1 take out the overlapped, and then I need to set the window position. What I'm doing here just takes, is the only way I know to fully get rid of the operating system's putting in that non-client area. If I don't take out overlapped window, then I don't know how to actually get rid of the, here, let me take this back out. Okay, let me back this up on. So if I don't do this, what I'm doing here, then I don't know how to actually get rid of these rounded corners still. Like if the idea here is we're going to ditch the non-client area completely, then yeah, I guess I'm confused what you were saying earlier. Why not get rid of the non-client area and just paint on client area, including your borders and your title bar and your min-max buttons? I was trying to do your suggestion to get rid of the non-client area. If I calculate the size to be non-zero, then I have a non-client area, right? I thought, okay, I'm not sure I understand. Oh, I see. By not adjusting at all, no, I don't understand. So my understanding is that with NC calc size, what I get is I get a rectangle that's passed to me in, like, it's the dimensions of the non-client rectangle, right? And then whatever adjustment I make defines the client rectangle. Is that not what it does? Sent when the window size and position of a Windows client area must be calculated by pressing this message. An application can control the content of the Windows client area when the size or position of the window changes. If is true, it specifies that the application should indicate that part of the client area contains valid information. Blah blah blah. Point is, okay. A rect structure. On entry, the structure contains the proposed window rectangle for the window. On exit, the structure should contain the screen coordinates of the corresponding window client area. So if I do any modifications to this rectangle to like shrink in the margins, then I'm creating a non-client area around the client area, right? That's my interpretation of how this works. Okay, let's take a look. So yeah, there are 3 rectangles. It's true. Contains information that an application can use while processing the WM and calc size message to calculate the size, position, and valid contents of the client area of a window. An array of rectangles. The meaning of the array of rectangles changes during the processing of blah blah blah. When the window procedure receives and calc size, the first rectangle contains the new coordinates of the window that has been moved or resized. That is, it is the proposed new coordinates. The second contains the coordinate of the window before it was moved or sized. The third contains the coordinates of the Windows client area before the window was moved or sized. When the window procedure returns, the first rectangle contains the coordinates of the new client area. The second rectangle contains the valid destination rectangle. And the third rectangle contains the valid source rectangle. I'm not sure I understand. You're saying there's an array, NC calc size. There's an array of rectangles. I'm not sure that I agree, or at least the docs don't agree with that, I don't think. So, I think I was part of the way there with hello, Frozen Zerker. So yeah, if I take out WS overlap, there's a good chance that moving and resizing won't work. But I just want to try something. Suppose I did take that and do what I was planning to do. It's going to be tricky because I have to keep on setting the window position though. I'm not sure about that. We'll see. I don't think I have good reasons to think that won't work. Let me start with my first idea again. Did I take out the region stuff already? Let's see if I pasted it or copied it. No, I didn't. Okay. So let me see here. I want to grab. Oops. grab that, stick it in Scratch. And back this out for a minute. Here's the window region thing I was doing. This actually fixes the rounded corners problem. Unfortunately, it doesn't clean up the whole non-client area thing. But technically I could still do that, because now I can just set the amount that I'm pushing in by to be 0. Then the only remaining problem is that if I resize to grow the window, I actually oh, we never solved the repaint problem either, but if I resize to the point where it's past the original dimensions I allowed for, it doesn't grow that thing anymore. But I wonder why it doesn't make a rounded corner there either. Somehow by setting the region I fixed the roundedness, but I either have to update that region forever, or I need to make some kind of region that just represents the set of all points or something. Take a look for that, because that would actually be pretty good. Create rect region. Is there an alternative that just creates a? If that doesn't work, it also just create a. I just create a region that covers a humongous rectangle that's always going to work, but. Can I create a region that covers everything? Specify region, fill region, fills a region by using the specified brush. Frame region, draws a border around the specified region by using get region box. Invert region, inverts the colors in the specified region. Offset region, paint region, paints the specified region. Paint and rectangle region, set again. Creates. Okay, so I don't see one that specifically says that. What if it's null? I don't know what that means, but let's just give it a shot. Yeah, that doesn't do anything. Now I have rounded rectangles again. Okay. So what if it's just gigantic? So I say like the region goes to, I could get the monitor size, but that would assume that you're using the biggest monitor on your system when the, so I have these, okay. I'll go with something like this. How about 40,000, well, that's not even enough. Let's just go with bigger. Right. I don't know if there's like a point at which making these things huge has a downside, but I'm not going to use it for anything other than the clipping, so I kind of think it won't for me, right? As long as yeah, okay. As long as you don't string together enough monitors to reach 40 million pixels wide, that'll work. And if that'll work, I might as well go for 1 billion. Right? I don't see any reason why not. Can I see a reason why not? I don't think I can. Yeah, let's just do that. Okay. out as much room as you should ever need. And then yeah, so the interesting thought here is if I get rid of the client region completely. The thing is I still need to, whatever I do, I need to be able to tell that a particular point is in the caption or sidebar so that I can return these correctly, even if nothing else gets returned correctly. But yeah, so if you wanted to like put a widget in your title bar, you'd have to put it right here and get rid of this HT caption. Not sure what you would turn it into. I need to go look that up and put it into this example though. Client, in a client area, okay. If you want to treat a point as client, I guess, okay, so this is if the default button needs to treat it that way, right? Then if you want to put a widget somewhere on the border, return the point is in that widget so that Windows doesn't start resizing and moving your window. Okay. All right. So I think I'll go with that solution for the rounded rectangles part. And then the question is, how do I, let me actually put a comment here. Different versions of Windows will try to assign different shapes to your window when you create it by setting the window region here to a very large rectangle. We ensure that our window will have a rectangular shape and will not be cut off when we resize it. If you don't want a rectangular shape, look at the region functions to create your own region shape for your window. You may have to update it during resizing. I might want to make an example where I actually do have rounded rectangles so that I can show how the resize would work in the example. But for now, I'll just leave that there. I want to figure out why I'm not getting a repainting to work. So if we are sizing, I guess what I'll do is say I want to see the initial window. That's what I'll do. Okay, I got it. We're going to take a look at the initial window dimensions for the first time the paint gets called. And then we'll set a conditional breakpoint asking for it to be 20 pixels bigger or something. And then we can see if that ever gets triggered. And if it does, then we'll have another mystery to look at, but it'll at least be progress. We'll have learned something. So 180, or 1,854, 1,181. Okay. Should just have written those down as I said them. Oh yeah, so those are window dimensions. Now I'm going to make a conditional breakpoint right here, and it's going to say if the window width is greater than 1854, let's add in 20, or the window height is greater than 138, and resume. Okay, I can remove this around, do whatever I want. And then if I do this, never triggers. So maybe getting the client rectangle is actually the problem here, and maybe I need to get a different way of figuring out my size. We'll have to look into that, because when I'm done, I finally get, so my client rectangle is definitely not updating while I'm resizing. I've just learned that. All right, I just got a GitHub link from Martin's that I'm gonna take a quick break from working on my thing to figure out how all this works, what he's suggesting here. So, NC calc size, GRC, plus system metrics, plus this metrics, CX padded border. Left, right, and bottom, and not adjusting the top at all. Okay. All right, I'm gonna try this, see what it does. And the only thing you're doing to make this work is the NC calc window. You have the overlapped window thing set. Okay. All right. Overlapped window. I'll set it to visible in a minute. Just think about that for now. Just gonna make sure a couple other things match, just to be sure that there aren't any important differences. Grab a copy of all this code here. And we're going to replace calc size with the new MPC calc size. See what happens. So is the idea to intentionally leave on the left and right and bottom for resizing and then just manually do the caption? Is that what you're... non-client area borders. Hold on, let me see if I can understand what's going on here. So your painting code did some extra calculation to adjust for non-client area borders. Oh, right. So my paint code for custom draw border is what you're referring to. Yeah, so here I have to do all this nasty custom paint stuff, which I would have liked to get rid of, and I wasn't really sure how I was going to be able to do it. I think this must be what you're talking about. Yeah. So I guess the question is, why am I bothering to... I get doing that. Alright. Let's just try this and see what I can get out of it. So, grab this. Oops, not that. Grab that. There we go. Fix-ups. Okay. I don't know, that's got some issues, right? I mean, now it's painting the old... Now the NC paint is triggering and showing the old border on the left, right, and bottom. And when I'm resizing, it looks like someone else is getting a chance to paint the caption over there too. Even though I didn't actually give it room for a caption. Plus it's messed up the corners somehow. Yeah, so it's kind of hard for me to tell what exactly is going on. Yeah, I took NC Paint out. Maybe I need to still handle it. It's a little hard for me to tell what's different between these because like my compositor is not on because I'm on Windows 7, all that. It's a little hard. So yeah, it would be nice if I could do this. What if I could turn off the NC Paint entirely and so I get to paint and it never does. So that's making progress, some kind of progress. I think there's also a competition between some of my paint code and your paint code going on here still. Let me take this out of the picture. Okay. Let me take why did my buttons just show up? NC activate. I'm drawing it here too. Just draw nothing instead. Okay, I think this is what you meant for me to see, probably, right? Yeah, makes sense. So this is all client area. But there's some weird properties to that. So like there's still a border here. The border's not gone. It's just, it's not being painted by anybody. And so I can see it when I like drag in because the old lines stay behind. You see? And if I made them 0, yeah. So that's why I'm wondering why I even bother to have border at all, right? So why bother to do this? What if it just said, yeah, I'm returning 0 on WM NC paint. So if I did that, let's see what we gain and what we lose. So the problem with that is now I'm not getting any resizing, right? But I think I can get that back if I come over here to the NC hit test and so here I'm going to say like, I don't really want a 1 pixel resize area either. Oh, but the point is that it's just client area, but it's still a border, right? So I can give it a little bit of thickness. So, yeah, let's try this. Do I have H2 caption up still? Yeah, I have these things up. So we're just going to do a couple of hit tests here. We probably want to do that, right? I'm guessing the low order word, the high order word. Yep, so it's going to be one of those things. And then what I'm going to do is say I need to know, are these relative to my window? It's relative to the upper left corner of the screen. So if it's relative to the screen, I need to know where my window is. So I'm going to do this. The window rectangle. All right. If oops, I already had an if the frame rect dot left is less than or equal to the x position, and the frame rect and the x position is less than the frame rect dot left plus my left border width. Pixels there, then let's set the result to HT HT left. Yeah, So what I can do, I think, is just have no border on any side. Just use zeros for the NC calc size. Let the actual frame size be equal to the client size, and then program in a border. And if I want to, I can figure out like a way to change that border width based on like what the expected width of the window is in the host operating system. But I don't really care about that part. This is about making a custom window border, not about reprogramming the Windows window to do the same thing as the one in the host OS would do. So I think we can get right, left, bottom, and the corners working. The corners are going to be a bit of a pain. Yeah. I guess there's a fairly easy way we can do that. But then the bigger question is going to be, what about the caption part? And in order to get that part working, well, yeah, so this has upsides and downsides. On this version, you can't delay the answer to these widget questions now, right? Like, it's nice when you can grab an event and stick it on a queue and handle it later, but when things are coming into NC hit test, you have to answer right away, which means that you have to kind of have your UI, like the UI elements that can involved in your border have to all be things you can deal with directly, like in response to the message in the loop itself. So it gets a little harder to abstract either way, but it does clean up the rendering, which is probably worth it. I feel like it's a lot easier to imagine rendering to one rectangle and then having to do a little bit of work to do special UI things on the borders than not having to do that special UI work on the borders, but having to write a separate renderer that does like tiny little segments around the edges. Especially if it's going to be an OpenGL or something, that just sounds annoying. Yeah, so we need to go back to these corners because there's an issue up here now. I've been noticing that too, where I'm not actually sure what's happening, but it looks like something about this setup has messed up the corner rendering just a little bit. And it's like maybe they're getting rounded again, and I'm not sure why that would be happening. How does that relate to the rectangle in NC calc size? Like, I don't really get what this is supposed to achieve. This is creating a non-client area for the left, right, and bottom. But even when I do that, it also still had a problem like that, right? Okay, so it doesn't actually. That actually does work there, but it creates the issue where now you have a non-client area that you're not painting to. Right, so see this red here, can you see that? Like how thick the red is? That's where I can see that. I don't know how to get rid of that part. I wonder if I set the window region every time it size changed to the exactly right rectangle, if I could get that to work. But I'm still not clear on why having no border at all was causing an issue. Like, I don't get why there's any issue when I do that. I guess it's applying the rounding, but why? Because we already know that if I take off that region that I'm doing down here, that the rounding is going to be a lot more round, but it's not. Okay. Yeah. The other weird thing about this though is that if I turn this on and Like, when I turn that on, and this, why does it, like, man, this is confusing. Earlier, I wasn't seeing this issue. Maybe the issue is that this isn't doing this. I don't know. No, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. I take that back. What I don't get is, I get that what we're doing here prevents the rounding from affecting the client area, but that doesn't clear out, that doesn't explain what we're going to do with the area outside of the client area, and it also doesn't explain why, when I was doing it this way, where I just made some numbers up, then I don't get any rounding at all. Oh, now I get it. Now I get it. So the deal is, either way, if you don't paint into the non-client area when WMNC paint happens at all, you get that effect. That's just what happens. Because you have to paint there at least once to fill that in or something. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure what's going on, but was working when I was doing NC paint. Right, when I was doing NC paint, I was able to get rid of the rounded part by setting the window region. But when I'm setting NC paint to do nothing, then I still get that masking. And that shape is still there. Yeah. Alright, let me think through the options here. So, I could try to figure out how to paint to the non-client area in such a way that it would remain transparent. I could try to set the window region in such a way that it would exactly fit. Yeah, so I think transparency is the best idea I have. I just don't know what to do exactly to make that happen. Yeah, I wouldn't know how to paint transparent black there. Obviously, it's initially transparent in the current setup, right? If I have it like, if I have it like this, it's initially transparent, and then if I resize, that's when I can see it again. Oh, and I edited that thing. I didn't even add that in, that's just happening. Not a fan of how that's happening, whatever that is. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I could make it transparent. Like right now it's transparent, and then I do this, and it's not transparent. If I could make it transparent, then this is like problem solved. So let me look up how to maybe try to do that. Win32 paint transparent No, that's for rendering calls. Um, This is not MSDN, so hopefully I get a link back to MSDN really quickly. We're gonna auto transparency to the background of window only, but anything else is transparency. The desktop shows underneath it. That is possible. Windows XP. It doesn't help at all. Yeah, I'm not sure how to make this idea work. So I can make it layered. Alright, so I don't know. I have a simpler idea I want to try first, which is this. I had to do all of this draw border adjustment stuff before. I'll look at that suggestion. Window attributes. So yeah, I wanna explore this option, but I feel like, why can't I just use alpha, by the way? Is there a reason why that wouldn't work? Is this just for the whole window? Yeah, it sounds like that's the alpha of the whole window or something. Is there not a way to make like a gradient? Not that I want to, I mean, I know that there's a way because that CTime little pop-up thing that Casey has does that sort of thing, but I didn't understand the code when I read it super well. I couldn't recreate it when I was trying. The only time I did try it. But there's something else I want to try first. So what this is trying to do is say, leave the border in place so that it the rounding won't show up. But what if we said, no, we're not going to have any border at all. We're going to get the rounding back, right? Is there not some way that I could get rid of that again? So initially I had this working, and I think the reason that this isn't working now is because it's not at the right coordinates anymore. And so instead of doing what I'm doing, what I have to do is use this as the left, I don't exactly know how to interpret these things. So why is there CX padded border and that's getting used everywhere? Let me take a quick look at that. See what that means. system metrics. Looking for this. Amount of border padding for caption windows in pixels. So that just gets applied on every side, even though it says CX, it doesn't mean that there's an X and a Y version. It gets used everywhere. Okay. The height of a window border in pixels is equivalent to the CY edge value. Height of the caption area in pixels, yeah. Yeah, so if I had to split a transparent bitmap into those regions to fix them, I suppose I could do that, but that sounds like a lot of work. So we were using CX frame. The thing I don't like about this is the number of ways that it seems like it could get messed up. Like, there's CX frame, which is the size of the size frame, right? Right, so there's the CX and CY frame, and then there's also the caption and border, and I feel like if I don't use caption, I'm going to get a little confused about things. Yeah, what I don't get is, if this was gonna work, why didn't it work like this? I should have at least got the top left to stop being rounded if I was not doing any there, but it's still rounding that. What if I got rid of this? Oops. If I got rid of this, this might be completely the wrong idea. What if I did this in here? Not sure I'll be allowed to do a begin paint, end paint, but we'll try. That's not going to change anything. Interesting. So here's what's happening. If I accept the existence of of an actual border, then I have to paint it separately from everything else. But wait a minute. What if I just do something like what I was originally doing again? Here we go. But there's a border there again. Yeah. So if I let there be a border of any kind, then if I don't paint it explicitly, that happens. Now, what if instead of grabbing the client rect, I grabbed the whole thing? Same thing. How is that the same thing though? So I'm saying set some random non-zero border. Grab the whole thing. So this should give me the window rect. Rectangle. So here's the green, here's the red. Brush, pen. I get that. Right there. I zeroed out those paint functions. Engineer, I'm not sure. We could try that, but I'm pretty sure that that wouldn't help because there's no reason to think that that would prevent the size, like the culling around the corners from happening. I don't get how that is showing up now. I have to think this through. I'm rendering based on the whole window size, so why is it not filling that up? I guess I don't understand. I guess it's okay. I know why. I know why. Because when you draw a custom window order, you have to be a little bit more careful about how you get your DC. Right. Okay. So this isn't exactly gonna work. If I take that out and I get my DC this way, that maybe makes a difference, and now I'm allowed to paint the whole window. I am. And I also have created a whole bunch of problems. I have no idea what's happening on that side there. It looks kind of like the size is getting wrong or something, but I also have rounded corners again. How it decides when to give me rounded corners or not is very confusing. I want to sanity check something because I've done a lot of experience now, and frankly, it's not really clarified anything, because I thought that there was a fairly simple answer to how to get rid of these rounded rectangles earlier on, and now none of the things that I thought were getting rid of them actually are. So we're just going to go back to go back to this and that. Oops, I did rebuild. Okay. So I have rounded rectangles here. Let me just check something else. Yeah, I still have this. Rect region, I'm setting the rect region. I was doing that before. Go ahead, Martins. Oh, I had this. No. Yeah, the rounded, so I agree, like, oh, I can do that programmatically. Set window theme, let's take a look at that. if I can get rid of that. Visual style information to be changed. Yeah, let's check it out. Pointer to a string that contains the application name to be used in place of the Alright, yeah. Let's see what happens. Let's turn that off. The manager retains You can prevent visual styles from being applied to a specified window by specifying an empty string which does not match any section entries. Yeah, okay. Let's try it. I don't know if this is a space or not. I mean, the docs says, the docs contains a space, but we're just going to try it a couple different ways. This is just randomized. I'm confused because I thought that I had fixed the rounded rectangles. No, I can't do this. This is not available in... Wait, this is earlier than 7. I keep forgetting that. This is earlier than 7. Okay. So the problem is this. Guessing there's no like W version, maybe. This isn't one of those macros that's just always going to be the UTF-8 version, which is fine. Hey! So I don't have any rounded corners now, and I had, if I remember correctly, yeah, I have this turned off too. Okay, so now I don't have rounded corners again. Still don't have repaint working, but I know why that is. We could fix that if we needed to. The downside is this is using the thing where it's painting separately. So let's now reapply those changes. I'm still confused because I really thought that this was fixing the corner thing, but maybe I misunderstood. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. Alright, let's try and put in some of the other ideas here. So, so here's the one where you just don't put any non-client area in at all. Here's the idea where you don't draw anything for a custom border. On either of those places. NC hit test. Yeah, so we'll leave that idea there. So we're thinking we'll still have to do this NC hit test work that we're doing down here. And then we're thinking, do the painting the way we're already doing it, which will just be a blue rectangle. Okay. Yeah, I think that's the magic sauce right there. Because now we can start to be a little bit, okay. I'm just gonna clean out some of this code now that I think I have a direction that I can make work. So those can go away. This can go away. I guess the only thing is I might still need an empty NC paint somewhere, which I don't currently have anywhere. So the answer is here. I'm going to leave the alternatives in just because they're still kind of useful. And we want to make sure that our paint function gets updated to actually do some more interesting stuff. Custom draw border. Yeah, so I can now paint everything as if it were client area, so I don't need this, but I still kind of want, yeah, and I actually have, whoops, why am I looking at this twice? I meant to be looking at paint over here. I have an additional issue, which is that I'm currently using this to find out my width and height, but I don't think I should be doing that. I think what I should be doing is, whenever sizing happens, the screen coordinates of the draw rectangle, to change the size or position of the drag rectangle. I don't know what it means by drag rectangle. It's a little bit frustrating. But I'm going to assume that I get a size message from this as well. Right? Maximize, max show, minimize, restored. No, this can't be right, because this only happens on those cases. It doesn't happen like this. But how do I get the window frame and the... Well, the window frame and the client vector are the same thing. If the window frame is correct, then I should be fine. Right? It's a little frustrating that this doesn't update during resizing, but let's try to make a version that works here. Let's say maybe it's just going to be window rect. That does the trick. And then I want to do, don't need any of that. I still want this stuff. So, pen color, brush color, pen color, brush color. Select these objects. That's what I'll do is I'll just say select the objects, set the colors, draw the rectangles. So these say frame rect. I'm going to switch that to window rect. See what we get here. Window rect, okay. Anywhere where I see client rect, I'm just going to add in some manual stuff for now. After all, this is just my draw function at this point. It could be anything. And so I'm just drawing a window and putting any border I want into the bitmap that I'm creating. Whoops, I wasn't thinking there. I have to actually pay attention for a second. Where was the client before? Okay, bottom minus 10. Okay, so this one goes from top left to the right plus top 30. Okay, so that's my top section. Left, bottom minus 10. True. So I still need to offset it. That's what you're saying. window rect, window rect, window rect, and then I don't need to do this. Alright, so I want to go from top plus 30 to plus 10, bottom minus 10, and then right minus 10, top plus 30 to right bottom minus 10. So that creates my border. These create my buttons, and then one more time to grab this. I guess I was doing this with the other function before, but I'll just keep the rectangle momentum going at this point. I guess I could do them all in this version if I wanted to, which I think would be a lot less code. Well, I'll have to write out the recs every time. Doesn't matter. If this is just example code and it's almost done, I don't need to figure out the most effective way to write it. I just need it to be somewhat clear. So I'm copying that down. I want frame rect dot top plus. Oh, it says frame rect. Okay, so these are wrong. This needs to be updated to window rect, window rect, window rect. What am I doing? Okay, and this is going to be window rect dot left plus 10, window rect dot top plus 30, window rect dot right minus 10, window rect dot bottom minus 10. Alright, so I just rendered my whole window. Let's see here. Just going to do that and that. There's my window. Okay, that's flashing, just a little weird. It's one of those things where like GDI doesn't double buffer quite right, so you get weird artifacts. Is that true? Would I have to do like a bitmap system to double buffer it manually if I wanted to not have it flash? And then the resizing works. Yeah, okay, well. That's super cool. So that's just a problem with GDI, I think. Because I'm doing too many rectangles. But yeah, I can see it even when I'm not resizing, just moving my cursor around or even sitting still. Like it just occasionally like flickers or disappears and comes back like noticeably. It's only those 3 buttons. I suppose it's probably because that's where I'm changing the state so much. Like it just happens to be a good chance for it to flip to my screen without those on there. It's always all of them or none of them, which is interesting. Because you'd think, I mean, I guess there's nothing else is overlapping anything else, so that's the only opportunity for me to see a flicker. That's definitely just a double buffering issue, I think. I could fix that if I wanted to go all crazy town on the GDI bitmap thing. Okay. No, I don't have desktop compositing on, as it turns out. I thought I did, but it turns out it turns off when you turn OBS on Windows 7 or something like this. Like it was on earlier today because I had transparent window borders, but now that I'm streaming, it's not on, and so my best guess is that's what's causing the issue, the streaming. But anyways, I'll just need to clean that up so that the example looks a little better. Maybe I just, I don't want to just have to set up OpenGL, but like, GDI can be annoying too. If there was just a button to say like, set GDI into double buffer mode, that'd be nice. But I've had to do this before, where I manually create a bitmap, render everything to it, and then flip all at once every frame, because GDI doesn't actually handle that for you. I'll take a look at that articulated byte in a minute. Okay, so I want to get the rest of the features back up and running. So we're pretty much going to make it work at this point. All we have to do is a little bit of heavy lifting in NC hit test, and that's just to know where our borders are, basically. And if there are any buttons obscuring things like borders, we have to know those too. So the very simplest window you can make is just like, look, you got 4 borders, and then that's it. It's done. All the other widgets are inside that. But if you wanted to have like widgets overlapping parts of the border, so that when you clicked on them, it didn't start a resize, you'd have to know their layout during this handler, like in the moment of this handler. So there'd be no way to like queue that up for later and then answer. You have to answer in line. So that's a little bit annoying, but I think, you know, it's workable. You just have to make it a part of like your API that your platform layer can call in and say, hey, can you tell me if I am hitting a widget, and if I am, let me know. Then I don't need to know anything else, like which widget, just tell me if I'm hitting one or not. That's pretty much all you need. That's pretty much all you'd need. So in our case, we want to do a couple more of these to get resizing finished. So we're going to do right minus border. Why did I do left border width? Oh well, I just do border width. That's less than X position. X position is less than right. Then HT right. Else. So here's the bottom. Border width. Y position. To bottom. Ba, 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 da, da, da. Then this is HT bottom. Oh, you know what I just realized? What we should actually do is we should probably just have like 4 of these so we can get the corners right pretty easily too. So we'll do that. So this is going to be top is less than or equal to Y position, and Y position is less than top plus border width. Now, I don't think I actually want to use a separate caption width variable there, because you don't want to trigger resizing on the whole caption. You only want to trigger resizing on that really top like line of the caption. Once you're inside the caption fully, that's actually where you want the dragging to work. So what I'd have to do is say, we also want to do a separate test for figuring out if you're on the caption entirely, which would basically be if all of these are false and you're inside the caption rectangle, then we would say return caption or something like that, right? So this is, I might want to review my comments here because I think they're not quite right anymore. So then what I'm going to do is we're going to just start grabbing these. Set those down there. So here's our left side, here's our right side, here's our bottom side, here's our top side. If left and top, yeah, we'll have to do a few things here, but here we go. If left, if top, else if bottom, else, and so that'll be left in that case. Else if R, same thing again. Then we'll just need a couple of these because we've already ruled out the corner cases, so all that's left are top and bottom. Alright, now let's go get the names for those top and bottom hit tests. Make sure we get them right. NZ hit test, border, bottom, left, bottom right. Gonna guess it's just top left and top right then. Yeah. Top left, top right. Okay, so we should have all of our resizing back. Let's say if we get to here and none of that has happened, then we'll finally do a last check to see if we're in the caption. So we're in the caption if that and this. And if that still doesn't happen, then we're actually going to just say, you know what, we've figured out the whole thing. You're in the client area. Right? We'll do that, and then actually none of this is relevant anymore. So let me just double check that there aren't anything. Maximize button, nope. The vertical scroll bar, nope. I don't want that. And a window currently covered by another window in the same thread. Wow, definitely not. Top right, top left, top sys menu, and a window menu or a close. Yeah, I'm not simulating any of those in a size box. HT grow box. Yeah, so the size box is the same thing as the HT size and HT grow box, which, you know, look, all I can say is it wasn't my job to write the documentation. That was whoever wrote this one. That was his job to write the documentation. Help in the left border of a resizable window. Yeah, we have that menu. We're doing these internally now. Nowhere on the screen or a dividing line between windows. Caption client we're handling, bottom border. Yeah, okay, so we're handling all the cases that we actually care to exist, so we don't need these is the first thing. So we just need a new comment here describing how all this works, because we're just throwing away the way the old logic worked and just doing that. Yeah, so I called it left border width initially. That's cool, because now I can go down here and get rid of all my unnecessary tens and whatnot, right? You know, this is the old custom draw border. Hit test, am I still using that? Yeah, I'm still using that. Here they are. Caption width. It'd be easier if I just made the other rectangle, right? Inside rect dot left equals window rect dot left plus border width. Left becomes top. Caption width. Left becomes right. left becomes bottom. Okay, window rect, window rect, inside rect. So any of these things where I added something, they just need to become an inside rect now. Those are fine. And this here is just the inside rect. Ooh, not quite right. My close button worked again. Ah. Cool. Still have the flickering on those buttons up there. Again, double buffering issue, I suspect. Resizing looks good. I can do that. I can do that. Hey, 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 look at this. It's kind of doing everything. It's kind of doing everything. I can move it over to the window you guys can't see. I can full screen, well, maximize it. I can unmaximize, maximize, unmaximize as many times as I want. It's a little weird when it maximizes, it gets presumptuous and uses less space somehow. It's like the rectangle it's filling is bigger than what's actually visible on my monitor or something. That's a little weird. But if you maximize your weird anyways, just do full screen, right? It's not exactly true. I just don't know why it would be automatically maybe it makes sense. Let's think about that. Why is it smaller now? It thinks the window is a little bigger than it actually is. When I maximized, it's just strange. I don't know what to make of that. It says if there's a maximization like skirt around a window, and mine like I can just, it's like I have a 1 pixel border on there. If I made my widths any different, I would have a different amount there, right? Because it's not, it doesn't know anything about my conception of a border. So yeah, now I have, it's thicker around there, but it's like there's about 10 good pixels, almost 10, like more like 9 good pixels on every side that get lost when you maximize this way. Very weird. That's on every side too, up, down, left, right, they're all losing 9 pixels. If I want to find out for sure, I can set this to 9, and if we lose yellow when I maximize, maybe it's 8. Yeah, there it is. 8 pixels. I'm guessing that it must be that what's happening here is that since it's that when you maximize, it sets a size that would normally put the non-client region like just outside of view, and it doesn't know any better than to do that now. So maybe the question is, can I give it a different idea when it goes to maximize by doing something with size? So it's a little difficult because I feel like if I set its position, it's not going to count it as maximized anymore, and that's going to mess with the way it thinks about the window. What I wish I could do is tell it it's still maximized, but it needs to be a different size than you think. Send it to a window when the size or position of the window is about to change. An application can use this message to override the window's default maximized size and position, or its default minimum and maximum tracking size. This is what we need. So it looks like it's going to pass me a pointer to a min-max info structure that contains the default maximized position and dimensions and the default minimum and maximum tracking sizes. An application can override the default by setting the members of the structure. So we're just going to look at that, modify it, and we should be good. So let's see. Don't use this one. Max size. The maximized width and maximized height of the window for the top level windows, this value is based on the width of the primary monitor. The position of the left side of the maximized window and for top level windows, this value is based on the position of the primary monitor. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll say our goal is that when we maximize, we don't want to bleed into neighboring monitors. So we don't want to, I want to say that whenever my windows maximize, my custom windows, I'm just going to have them fit to the size of this monitor that they're maximizing to exactly. And then I will adjust what I'm rendering myself in terms of how much border I put in that case. So it'll essentially be like going into full screen mode when you maximize, except that I don't think it would have the same effect as full screen in terms of getting rid of this. Alright. This sounds good. Get min-max info. Okay. So the theory is that what I can do with this message here is just make sure that my maximized struct turns out the way I want. So I want to cast lparam to a min-max info struct. And then I want to modify the size. Max size and the max position. Max position is the easy one. That's just going to be 0, 0. The size is not going to be that hard, but we do need to go look at one of my other pieces of example code to get the monitor info. So we're going to use the window handle we have, but if that doesn't work, we'll get the default window. By the way, yeah, so we actually can't do 0, 0 here because we're going to want to make sure that we are using the right monitor that you're maximizing on. So you can maximize on more than just your primary monitor. And then we just need to look at what's in the monitor info struct. Size rect monitor. RC monitor. Okay. RC monitor. These are in screen coordinates, right? Yeah, okay. So we want to do that here to get the width, here to get the height, and then the left and the top. And so whatever you're trying to maximize, that's where we want you to maximize to. Now, while I'm in here, should I do something with min stuff? Is there anything useful here? Min track size. The minimum tracking width, x emperor, and the minimum tracking height of the window. This value can be up to, what does that mean? The minimum, the maximum tracking width. What is for systems? Multiple monitors, PT max size, describe the maximized size and position of the window on the primary monitor, even if the window ultimately maximizes onto a secondary monitor. In that case, the window manager adjusts these values. Oh, okay, so I don't need to do what I did. In that case, the window manager adjusts these values to compensate for differences between the primary monitor and the monitor that displays the window. Thus, if the user leaves a PT max size untouched, a window on a monitor larger than the primary window maximizes the size of the larger monitor. Okay, so I didn't do that right. This should be 0 and 0. And this should just be like that, and then I need to check if I can do that with a null. To get the monitor info. How can I get monitor info for a monitor, for the primary monitor without specifying a handle? Get monitor info. I don't like having to, okay. So I can do it this way if I get an H monitor. Handle to display monitor of interest. Okay, is there a way to get the primary monitor? Get monitor info. Monitor from point might do the trick. A point structure that specifies the point of interest in virtual screen coordinates determines the function's return value if the point is not contained within a display monitor. Default to null, default to primary. Okay, this is what I want. This will do the trick. Monitor from point. No, sorry. Weird version of alternative, it doesn't always paste. Here's my 0. Here's my default to primary. But you return an H monitor. Okay. I see. All of these return an H monitor. The point is I'm calling get monitor info. Okay. There's two function calls here. Get monitor info is the one I was looking at. These are the ones that give me the handles. Hopefully I can just pass in a point of 0 and get the primary monitor. Okay, so yeah, this gives me the width and height of the primary monitor, and the 0, 0 is just, say, top left corner. And then hopefully it is smart enough to just plop that into other monitors by interpreting it as use the exact width and height. I hope that's what it's doing, that it's just like it's interpreting it as like an extra amount of padding on the top, left, right, and bottom. It doesn't really say how it's doing that interpretation, and instead it's exposing this really weird system where I specify my coordinates in terms of the primary monitor, and it has an unspecified fix-up algorithm that I have to hope I get right. But besides that slight not greatness, okay, so I used info twice. We'll call this the min-max info. Okay, okay. extremely excited about that result. So the problem I could see there, well, let me check. Yeah, okay. So this kind of comes to that issue I was saying before about not knowing what that fix-up algorithm is. Apparently what I did isn't right, even though I asked for the full width and height of the rectangle of the screen and no more than that, and the 0, 0 position, and no less than that. So I get a little presumptuous here and just do this, what do I get? Okay, so when I do that, now it's underneath this and it is pulled in a little bit. So that's not right. If I do this, what do I get? Why not pass the default values from Windows? MSY Art Dev. Can you be more specific? I don't know what, like, pass what default values from what Windows where? Like from operating system Windows or from my Windows? Pass them into what? Pass the defaults from where? Clarify, and then maybe I can answer what you're asking. Okay, so now the top left is showing up where I want it to, and the bottom is not quite right, and the right is obviously way wrong. So this is where it starts to get a little bit so let me show you what's going wrong. If I don't do this at all, then what happens is when I maximize, you can see my borders were originally like 10 pixels wide on the top, left, right, bottom, and 30 on the top. When I maximize now, I am down to 2 pixels on the bottom, right, and left, and I've lost 8 pixels off the top too. So when I maximize, it puts the window a little bit outside of my monitor. Now, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Can you see that too, or is it just like my monitor somehow is screwed up? Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out how to actually get the that's a good question. Do I see them on the other monitor? No, I don't see them on the other monitor at all. So sad, because getting Max info sounded so promising, like it was exactly the thing that flowed from the problem I was looking at. But it looks like it doesn't work, because it looks like this is the result you get from asking for the full monitor, and for whatever reason, this, yeah, Martins, that's what I presumed. So if I just say use the full monitor, it assumes default border sizes and removes, and like pushes them out, right? So that you have these very thin amounts of border, which are my custom border, showing through. What I hoped I could do was to use this to tell it not to do that. And it seems like as soon as I actually let it be the full size of the monitor, it'll do that again. So here I have them correctly placed on this point. Right. If I do this, now it's going to go like that. Yeah, when you maximize, you can't see the borders anymore. So like, I'm trying to think of what I could do to show an example. I need to use a window that's not custom. This one. Right, so here we have these like really wide borders, and if I maximize this, well, this window is maximized correctly, but you can see on the left side that it is now like 1 or 2 pixels thick there, right? Interesting, when you do that, okay. It also messes that up, which is kind of funny. So, yeah, I don't know what I could do. This looks like it's just a special case that if you actually do the full size monitor, yeah, so well, set window region doesn't change the window position. Are you talking about set window position? Because set window region kind of just like creates a clipping space, right, for what gets drawn. But I had thought of intercepting WM size and seeing if a maximized comes in, and if it does, then saying, okay, a maximized comes in, I just set the position, but I don't know if setting the position of a maximized window undoes the maximization. No, it's not spilling over to other monitors. That's not the problem. The problem is that I want to have correct dimensions because I'm responsible for rendering into my area, and so I want to know the actual dimensions of my window and not be told that it's larger than it really is, so that my borders spill off the side. I want to get the correct dimension, and then I will manually decide that. Yes, I've handed an NC calc message. NC calc size message. Currently not giving myself any border on any side. I suppose it doesn't really matter what's considered client side and non-client side at this point, right? Like, if I did this, what would change? I'm still rendering to my whole window. I'm still controlling the entire NC hit test. Interesting. That actually does change the way it maximizes. Although, yeah, now I can see the border I didn't want to see. Don't like. Doesn't seem good. Right, because rendering into that is the whole problem. We're avoiding having to do an NC paint by making that zeros. Is it handling a zoomed state yet? I don't know what that means. Maybe not. I mean, we're doing NC hit test here, and then I I just do in my own code at my own time how to maximize, although I'm not even clicking the button for this thing that isn't working. So if I do that, yeah, it's the same thing I just did. If I just wish I knew, maybe here's what I can do. When I get a WM size message, if it's maximized, then what I can do is look at the actual size and only render into the region. Like, all I care about here is that I only render into the region and not outside of it, right? I just want to know the real size. So what I can do is just the opposite of the hack they're doing and say, whenever you just went maximized, just grab the monitor's coordinates. Well, the only problem with that is that the taskbar will get in the way. Still. So yeah, do I need any of these? I don't know. So I definitely need some of them, but I can't get rid of size box because I'm doing all the size box stuff myself. No, still doing that. I could do the thing where I very hard remove the oops, that was a mistake. Border. Okay, that works. Of course, I just want to make sure that all of these still work if I took out yeah, but without overlapped, I can't full screen, I can't minimize, so. So I'm not sure about that, Martin. So I took out, oh, I didn't actually do this correctly. And not that. Let me try that again. Okay, so that's still wrong. Anyways, I can't move that around without overlap, so I don't like that. Yeah, so I took out, yeah, overlap was wrong. That was a mistake. I meant to remove overlapped window. Wait, you're right, I didn't even do that yet, because they're not the same thing. Set window 1W, wind, style, and not WS overlapped window. Yeah, so if I take that off, then I can still resize because I'm handling all of the hit tests now, so it seems like, at least it looks to me like what's happening is the hit tests, the way they make the style work is by not issuing that hit test, or not returning that hit test code. Since I'm returning that hit test code anyway, it just works like it normally would, but then the problem is that like certain shortcuts aren't working. So problem is, yeah, win arrows won't work anymore. I don't know if there's any way to get those back, and even if there was, it would probably be complicated because it would probably involve me calculating the sizes myself or something. So I want an overlapped window. I can't just get rid of the border that way. And even if I did, it looked like it didn't fix the outline problem. Yeah, I'm assuming that by zoomed window you mean a maximized window, right? And the question I guess I have then is, how do I adjust my borders? NC calc size. So if the idea is, look, we're going to say, look, if we are maximized, and to figure out if we're currently maximized, so that'd be like, to check window is maximized. Get window placement. Window placement. There we go. Get the window placement, and now we're gonna say one of you has a flag that tells me what's going on, right? Yes. replacement dot show command equals, I'm actually going to want to copy that, and then let's see, maximize that doesn't work because I haven't updated my forecoder yet. I was complaining about this last week too. Maximize is there. Yeah, there's another one, show maximized. Maximize, then do some work. The question is, what work do I do there? Oh, is there a quickie function for this? Is zoomed? Never heard of this before. Yes, look at that. Is zoomed. Zoomed. Alright, so that cuts that out, and that's going to simplify a lot of my code in other code bases too. Checks the maximize state of the h1 pointer. Right. Okay, so that's what I need. The question is now, what do I do with my left top? Do I do this stuff now? Do I do what Martin was saying before? With my left, right, and bottom? But then do I need, because that would just be the normal dimensions of the window, and so it would give me the client rectangle that's left over. The problem is, I guess the top would need to do the same thing as the bottom, because I'm not, they use something like this. I don't know what the amount would be. That is harder to guess at, but, okay, so that's not quite right, but it's not far off. It does mess with my ability to calculate coordinates off of the frame rectangle instead of the client rectangle. In fact, it's not clear, if that's true, it's not clear why that would render correctly either, because now my client rectangle is different, but also take a look at this. Return value, align top, let's see, valid rex. The value indicates that upon return from NC calc size, the rectangle specified by the arg RC1 and arg RC2 members of the ncalc size param structure contain valid destination and source rectangles, respectively. The system combines these rectangles to calculate the area of the window to be preserved. The system combines these rectangles to calculate the area of the window to be preserved. The system copies any part of the image, window image that is within the source rectangle and clips the image to the destination rectangle. Both rectangles are in parent relative or screen relative coordinates. This flag cannot be combined with any other flags. This return value. Yeah, I don't know that that is relevant to me because I'm not using any of this correction stuff. I think I get what it does. It's for fixing your window rectangles in a way that probably looks nicer, but I'm not doing that right now. So I'd rather not mess with it. I'm not even setting those rectangles, right? So I guess the issue is I need to know what calc size to use to make this actually work. So I don't know why the clicking wasn't working anymore. Let me check. Yes, if I'm not maximized, that works. Oh, that's not good. Those aren't working still. Can I minimize? Yeah, I can minimize by doing that. Minimize again. Okay. None of those are triggering now. I don't know if this is working yet. So to double check. That works. Why is my border sizing gone? All of those are gone. That's why. Alright, so I was wrong. Just returning the right hit test is not all it takes. You actually do have to have the style for the hit test to do the thing. Okay. You have to have the style for the hit test to work. Got it. Alright, so the next question is my full screen, how is that going? Okay, so that part's working again. Now that I have that back, this will probably work too. Yeah, okay. So then it's just a problem of I'm not doing the right thing right here. Because my left and top are working, and my bottom and right are not. It's going to push it out a little bit on each side, and I'm going to push it in a little bit on each side. And I guess the problem is I'm not pushing it in enough on these, even though I'm pushing it in the same exact amount. So under this circumstance, I can almost see my red button, but it's a little, just barely hanging in there, right? If I do this, same thing. It's a little hard to say too, like I'm not exactly being rigorous here. I mean, okay, there's a couple things I can do. Let's make these each a 1 for a minute. So I can see yellow, then it's working. So yeah, I think I can see yellow. I guess I need to be a little bit more sure. So instead of this lovely yellow color, I'm going to use the lovely FF00FF. Yeah, okay, so that those sides are definitely fitting onto my screen. So the question is, what would I need to do here to make it fit on my screen? Why was this not enough? And doing nothing. Let me just like do some extreme amounts. The bottom and right should be the size you want of the rect. Subtract the system border size values. Frame, yeah, I'm subtracting CX frame. Yeah, alright, let me try a couple of these ideas. So, I'm not sure if bigger or smaller is what I need, because I can't tell if there's a special case thing kicking in or not. But let's try taking out just this and see if we can get it to show up. No magenta on the right hand side if I take that out. You know what I could do? Nah, it's still the taskbar is the part that really confuses me because I'm relying on the system to tell me how big a window would be if it was placed in such a way that it didn't obscure the taskbar. And so I can't just assume that the monitor size is correct. Otherwise, I could just get the monitor size and put those in and not worry about like shifting and just set the client rectangle exactly right. So I just want to kind of get a measurement of what happens if I just like make this bigger by a noticeable amount. Okay, so the bigger it gets, the more to the right it actually does come. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me take this out. That could totally be messing with it if it's using different values than the defaults. Yeah, so I'm using the defaults there. But the defaults are leading to it being bigger than it's supposed to be. So the question is how much to push in by. And the amount that I'm pushing in by the left isn't working the same as the amount I'm pushing in by the right. See what I mean? Like, let me just double check everything. Min max info. So I'm not altering this at all. Whatever happens will happen. Then this rectangle that'll come in here will be the rectangle the rectangle the system would have used, but that's going to include the the skirt around the edge that is a little bigger than what I want, and I'm trying to push in from the sides to make it work. The top and left are working, and somehow the exact same amount that I applied on the left being applied to the right isn't working. Is size frame different from frame? I need to go check that again. We had that up earlier. The thickness of the sizing border around the perimeter of a window that can be resized in pixels is the width of the horizontal border and is the height of the vertical border. Okay, so that is different from this. The width of the... wait, not that. CX frame. This value is the same as CX size frame, so they're the same thing. Full window. Y-frame, padded border. Whatever I'm doing, I'm not adding in enough or something, right? Because when I make it bigger, it eventually works. Okay, so that's plus 10 extra. Although I'm not seeing magenta anyway. So here I see magenta, here I do not. So I'm using the window rect, which means that whatever I do here shouldn't even really be affecting me here, but it is. Strange, right? I'm only allowed to paint into the client area here because I'm using a normal device context. So I'm only going to be able to paint into the normal client area. So the more I push that in, the less area I'll be able to paint to. But the question is, why am I even able to see magenta at all when I'm doing this? If I'm pushing in by some positive amount on the top and left, then I should already be drawing outside of the window rect. Somehow adjusting the client frame would have to be altering the window rect I'm getting here or something. Oh, but I am basing this at 0, 0 no matter what. I see. I see. So probably we want to try this just to be sure. Get client rect, and then okay, so that's working. There it is. There it is. Okay, so that was the problem. So just to explain what went down there, the reason we weren't seeing magenta was because I was mixing up the client region and the window region, right? The window region has a skirt around the outside, and we are trying to, based on the suggestion from MSY Art Dev, push in a little bit the client area, which we normally leave the client areas being tight with the window frame. But since we can't ask Windows not to do this, like skirt around the outside, instead we're pushing in and saying we'll render in this area. What that means is that the window frame is now a separate thing from the client frame again, and I was still rendering to the window frame, which meant, but I was only allowed to render into the client frame, but the rectangles weren't the same anymore. So the top left corner was working because I was basing all my rendering at 0, 0, where the client rect is supposed to be, and so whatever I did, that was going to work. The part that wasn't going to work was the bottom right until I got the size correct, and now I have. So it makes me wonder if pushing in the client rectangle is strictly necessary. I guess it's a nice thing to do, because if I don't, then there is paintable regions on the outside, and this just takes them away. But the other thing I could do is say that I prefer the window frame and the client frame to always be the same rectangle. And just when we're in this mode, I will ignore, like, I will be fine with the fact that there's a little bit of skirt around the outside that I'm not painting, because nobody can see it anyway. And then when you get your size, I just have to manually report a different window size to you then. And I guess at what point is it even different anymore? Like, the main thing that's going to suck about this is that the client rect doesn't update when you're resizing, right? We were looking at this earlier. So if I do this, oops, I have one pixel that can do this right now. If I do this and then I do this, wait, it's working now. Maybe I did not understand before. So let me switch to a thicker border again, because maybe I can't tell that it's not working with a thin border. Oh, that actually is right. I've learned that before, and I forgot. Okay, you're right, Martins. That's the problem. Okay, so, well, no, I mean, I was getting a breakpoint in Paint, I thought, and I was just getting the wrong client rectangle. I could have sworn that I stepped through this in the debugger. That's why I'm confused. That's why I'm very confused. So, let me just follow through with what I was planning to do. 1030. All right, we have full border. Now we can see full border on every side. Good. And if I resize it, yeah, it works I mean, I still don't have HDraw or VDraw, so this shouldn't be working, right? Oh, I'm painting in the main loop to cover it. You're right. That's. You're right. I was resizing. It wouldn't matter if I was doing the main loop. I'm very unsure about what changed between these two. Maybe it's the overlap style. Did I not have? I had all of these are the same styles I had before. Let's see what else is different. Paint. I thought I set up invalidate rect. I was painting and then get the client rect, and it wouldn't be updated. I thought I stepped through it and saw it doing exactly that, and so I don't know how it's possible that it's even different now. I don't know. So what is this idea? I want to check the time. Oh, it's kind of the end of my time, actually. There was one more interesting sounding note that I wanted to follow up on. Erase background message. What is that about? Send when the window background must be erased. For example, when a window is resized, the message is sent to prepare an invalidated portion of a window for painting. Not sure why it would matter if you paint it here, but I'd be interested to know. Why did it even change? Was this? Did I never actually get that in there right? Yeah, so first of all, so that invalidate rect really was actually part of the solution, and apparently maybe I just never got the build. Maybe it wasn't building, or I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I see. Okay. Okay, in terms of overflowing to other monitors, if I do this and I pull this off, I don't see any overflow. I'm gonna pull it over into this one. I'm gonna have my taskbar in the way, but I can't see any overflow there either. Dragging between monitors appears to work just fine. Yeah. I'm sorry, art dev, that's cool. Okay, so pretty much have the example up and running now. Let me pull out the rest of the attempts that didn't add up. Okay. Alrighty. Back to the big yellow. And so finally, the last thing I've left in place is these NCL button down and up things that are actually not necessary anymore. This is just handling events in place that I could actually dispatch to the core application, except for the fact that if they aren't handled immediately, then it's going to think that we're doing a caption. In fact, yeah, but the only reason the caption doesn't happen is because these all cause the window to immediately move in some way. So this is a perfect example that I should probably work on. I'm not sure I'll stream it, but of having to know where something is on the border so that when you click it, it doesn't enter to caption mode. Yeah, a screenshot would be cool. But I'm done programming for the night. That'll be it for my adding code to this thing. I'm gonna clean this up and try to publish it sometime soon. Let's take a peek at this example someone else did. I mean, this is a maximized window right now, right? I can't tell if it's a custom window or not since it's just a full screen. I mean, it looks good, so if that's your custom window, it's cool. I'm not trying to put it down. Does look like a pretty slick application. Okay, so we've got the custom window stuff done. There was one little thing I said no more code, but there's one thing that's been bugging me this whole time. Why doesn't my window name say the whole thing? It says W. Look at this. If I go over here, it says W, right? That's spooking me out. And I'm passing it to W. I'm using a long string. They should match up, but they're not. Not sure what's going on there. Why would we have to do something custom to get the Windows title to set correctly? That seems so weird. Shouldn't it just be a string that they're setting like on their own? I don't even know what thing I did would have made that not work. Return value is true if the text is set. It is false for an edit control. What do you mean, what am I doing to fetch the string? This is just, I'm creating the window and passing a string in. And it's not actually setting the window name correctly. That's it. That's it. Martin's with the pro tip. Def window proc comes with a W version. Yeah. Yeah, if it was interpreting it as ASCII, it makes perfect sense because in 16-bit encoding, a W is a W followed by a 0, and in ASCII, right? So it'd be like window name, right? But in ASCII, that doesn't say window, that just says W, right? But I had no idea that these came with a W variant, so that makes sense. Awesome. Yes, that's it. All right, that is it for tonight. I am signing off. Thanks to everyone who came to hang out, and like I said, look forward to me posting this if you want to put a custom border on your next application and make it really magenta or something. Or, make it look good. Whatever. See you guys around.